Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, everyone. Some of you probably this is the first time you see me. Some of you probably this is the up 10 time maybe, like Dr. Tahira. Okay, I'm Alisa Ibrahim. I'm from AAGBS. Okay, so today we are very honored to have Prof. Georg Hauer with us. Prof is basically from the University of Stuttgart. Okay, the dean and also director of business management, physics, and also, what is the other one? You have three, right? Civil engineering, reading physics and business management, yeah. Prof is the dean and director of that faculty, and also our honorable visiting lecturer, okay? Prof has already been with us, I think, for the past 2 years, coming to 3 years this year, right? So we are very honored here to have Prof come to Johor and share with us the topic on global strategic management, international advantage. Yeah, Prof? So without further ado, I would like to call Prof. Hauer to give the lecture. Okay, thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aslina. Alisa, sorry. Can move around. Can we move to my? Yeah, perfect, good. Okay, then let's do it this way. No problem at all. So this is a little bit from my background. Now I'm already 19 years in academia back, and yeah, over time you get more and more, yeah, responsibilities. So I was one of the, I was the third professor in the business administration, and we growing up this for first 1 programs and 2 programs, and finally we have 5 programs, and formed this Stuttgart Business School as part of this bigger faculty, because we are together with engineers, and now I'm dean of the whole organization and director of the business organization. Now, today, I would like to do with you more or less an introduction section on global strategic management, especially what is the international advantage there. And I learned that I have 3 hours, something like this. I would like to make it a little bit hands-on. So it will be first some input from my side. Then we could work or should work on a case study. And in the third part, we may discuss about results of these case studies. Maybe we can split up whatever is the group in 2 groups, so we can covering 2 case studies. I prepared 3 in case. Because, as I mentioned, as University of Applied Science, theory is one element. Talking about real experiences, cases, is another element. So when we are exploring global business strategy, first question is a global strategy the same as an international strategy? What do you say? The same? What is yes and why is no? Is the same thing? Let's correct my this. Each global strategy is also international, but is each international strategy also a global strategy? No. Yeah. I always make a very good example to little bit see the difference. When you think about Apple, iPhone, it's a clear global. It's one product, the same product all over. 2 days ago I was in TRX, which is a new tower in Kuala Lumpur, and they have a nice Apple store, flex store there. The product is the same, which I was seeing 3 months ago in New York, and if I were to go to Beijing, would be exactly the same story. If not, in the difference. And the marketing is the same. It's getting designed in California, assembled or sourced all over the world, assembled in former mainland China, nowadays Vietnam and others. Now, McDonald's. Have you been visiting McDonald's in different countries already? No? Okay. I can give you one example. Here in Indonesia, when you go to a McDonald's, you have normally two red sauces there. I made the first big mistake. I thought, okay, it's tomato sauce like all over the rest of the world. No, it's chili and tomato sauce. You need to pick the right one. So McDonald's is also an international company, but they adopt what they are offering to the local tastes. There's no global. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to make the burger centrally, ship it across the world. So from this perspective, it would be an international company because they have the same branding, same concept, franchising system, and so on. But it's not really a global one. International, yes, but not globally. So there are some differences, but I agree with you, it has the same area. Now, so if you are talking really is, what is the basic business case for getting a global strategy? So what do you think was the basic, and now going back again to the example of Apple's iPhone, what are the basic ideas why Apple was really going from maybe national niche market to a global big market? What is the basic business case for going global? In case of Apple, I think both elements. One element is for sure economic of scale, big advantage. So Apple was only able to make as much cash because economic of scale was really huge. It was the first one who really resisted to build up special models for special areas. Only one model, maybe different languages, but this is just software. There's no economic of scale perfect. So this would be one, economic of scale. And the second one? Anyone? Sven? Yeah, standardized product, but also getting this standardized product as a demand. So consumer would like to get it. Yes, this is one of the competitive advantages. What's the competitive advantage of the iPhone? The iOS, exactly, and this is for the whole world. It's really a product where people can very easily access, easily monitor. So you was looking for getting an iPhone, global product, a global demand. So people in Malaysia, people in Europe, people in mainland China, even mainland China was not asking for a Chinese iPhone. They was asking for an iPhone, which is very easy to operate, maybe in Chinese language, but the principle is the same. So the idea behind to business case is on one side economic of scale with a standardized product, but on the other side as well as the demand side to really be able to create a competitive advantage and product which the whole world, or a lot of this, are asking for it. So, and this is now the really challenge we are in front of, how to develop a global strategy. Because now you need to find out what is the best way to organize this type. And here you have, not in all cases you can operate like Apple or iPhone, because sometimes you will need a balance between a global and national issues. And this balance, for example, is for McDonald's, for example, much more complicated than for Apple and iPhone. Because going back to the example of McDonald's, I think a chili sauce in Europe would not be as much successful. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. You have only one red sauce, not two of them, only a tomato sauce. Yeah, also you get in Europe, but then you are looking especially for chili sauce, and you will not get it in a traditional just fast food restaurant. Yeah, yeah. And the taste is different. You're right. Also, yeah, yeah, sweet. Yeah. So you have to deal with different type of taste and issues there. Yeah. And if we have this, then we can talk about how to implement a global strategy. So, if you are a little bit try to summarize, international would mean that would be a home, main focus would be on a home country or area. Sorry. And from there you started to really develop and spread it over. If you have multinational, it's already try to build in each of the countries your own branding in terms of getting advantage there. Thinking about ideas examples behind, a little bit depending on where the majority of the recognition is behind. Maybe one example was a German company. Heinz? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, international focus, ketchup story. Yeah. Would be something like a focus on home country and then spread it over and it takes advantage because you are big one of this. Yeah. The same line, yeah. 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 Yeah, sometimes you start to also market it in local ones. Multinational would be if you have then try to position your company a little bit different depending on where you are. Maybe a little bit of not sure I can talk about it, but if you take if you take the beer example, Philips? Yeah. 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 Philips would be one example with Philips Lightning, or what we can also use, Bosch. Bosch. I think here in Malaysia you have a plant of Bosch in Penang, producing a lot of this local home appliance, sewer stuff. How is this portrayed here? If you think about Bosch tools, what is your impression on this? Yeah, but for home owners, or? Okay, in Europe, we have two different types of tools. We have the green one, which is more cheaper, and we have the blue one, which are professional tools. Okay, and by the way, even I, as not really very hands-on man, I will always buy the blue ones, the professional ones. We also, because also craftsmen are also using the blue ones, and therefore the green ones are, they're also Bosch and better than the Chinese. But if you are really taking a Bosch one, you would use the blue professional ones. And I don't think that the professional or the blue one are sold here for really public, so not so much at least. Yeah, it's only for specialized, exactly. And this is a difference in a European market, so where you buy your stuff. As non-professional, you will get the blue and the green one. You can choose, and mainly you will buy the blue one because this is the one, the professional one. This will be a little bit depending on where you are positioning yourself. The Bosch is positioned as craftsman tools in Europe, and therefore they are trying to sell it for everybody in this area, while others they need to compete with. Yeah, and the third one was this global one. I think the best one is really here, the best example is the iPhone, which is really a very good example, because here you have both. You have the economic of scale as well as the product as demand side. I have never seen a product really like this, which is as global as the iPhone is, because you have really no difference at all, no adoptions, nothing. Yeah. What we should also have in mind, not sure about, I think as you are almost at the end of your study, you should be aware, this is different from foreign trade, where you're just talking about exporting, or from foreign direct investments, which are, like the investment side of this global strategy. In most cases, this foreign direct investment might be a result of on global strategy if you are deciding to expand your operation. In most cases, companies who are operating this, we would call as multinational enterprises like Toyota, IBM, also Apple I would use in this one. So from the, as I mentioned before, let me again summarize what is the basic business case for a global strategy. On one side, economic of scale, economic of scope, global brand recognition and satisfaction. Apple, iPhone. You can also use and be at economic of scale is pure the scale side, but you can also optimize your cost structure by moving it to areas where you have the lowest labor cost, or whether you are really lowest labor cost, and you can also recover due to economic of scale the R&D. So finally you have the lowest cost per unit when you are running this. What is the flip side of the story? You may have also cost with this global strategy, because you may lose the direct contact to your customers. So if the demand is somewhere shifting, you may be in danger because you are running something which is one. You have a question? Okay. Economic of scale would be just that you are really running more units. Economic of scale means you are not just producing 1 million of the phone. You would produce 1 million iPhone for Asia, 1 million of iPhones for US and 1 million for Europe, so in total 3 of them. Okay, if you economic of scale, you can make all 3 the same. And if you have 3 million instead of 1 million, your cost will be much less. You will be able to run it bigger machines, getting bigger discounts, having more experienced people working on it. So roundabout, if you double the number of units, your costs will be reduced by 20 to 30%. So pure economic of scale. Okay? Economic of scope would be that you may be able to integrate your functions. You will only run operations for one. You will only run, for example, marketing once. So you would expand the operation. You would not set up an Apple for Asia with own marketing, with own production, with own delivery. You would run it, expand the functions across. Not all of it you can really do. But for example, HR, very difficult to run it really in an economic of scope, because HR is an area where you have as most local restrictions. So you cannot, economic of scale is somehow limited. I am not aware of any real global corporation. Real global means one corporation who operates exactly the same stuff in all countries. Or so economic of scale and economy of scope would be integration of the scope of the company or integration of the volume. Okay. Yeah. Lack of sensitivity for local customer demand. iPhone is a very good example for a really global product and global operation. About 20 years ago, in the automotive industry, Ford Motor Companies was thinking about the same story. They was coming up with a world model called, I think, Mondeo, which was one car model which was designed and getting marketed all over in US, in Asia, as well as in Europe. This was a flop. It was not really working. Why? Because the feeling to drive in the US is a little bit Asia. In Asia, even within Asia, you have much more differences. So if you go to Japan, the cars look interesting. If you go to Japan, even the Toyota cars look different to the one here in Asia or the one in Europe. Because the demands, the requirements of the people are very much different. So if you come up with only one product, it's not working. If I take the example of the German cars, they are slightly different. So for example, you may know Audi A4 as an example. Have you seen? Sorry? Yeah, Audi A4 or Santana in Volkswagen, same size. They are also selling it, or sold it, it's not so more popular more, in mainland China. This car is a traditional company car for first liners, second line managers, or branch of managers in Europe. So if you get appointed for a retail store or a brand, you normally get a company car, and this is a very traditional company car. It's also a company car in mainland China. In mainland China, they mainly sold the L version of this, which is a little bit longer, and especially the rear part is a little bit more space. Why? Simple. In Europe, you would never get a driver, at least not as a first-line manager, maybe as CEO of a multinational company, but not as a first-line manager, and not even as a second-line manager. In mainland China, you will have a driver, and therefore you are using the back seat. So it's not one model fits all. They also take some economic of scale because 90% of the car is the same. but 10% need to be adjusted for the target group you are looking for. And if you are just run it on a global base, you may lose this type of back information. Yeah, sure, you have also a lot of additional transport. So for example, therefore is this really a bad idea for McDonald's to go on economic of scale, because if you make your burger patties for all Asia, the cooling and transport would much more expensive than to produce this locally. Yeah, exactly. So we had on one side the resources of the company and global drivers, and now need to identify how we came up with what is the main strategy, the main purpose of the company. So what is our, do we make smartphones or cars? And if we are producing cars, how we can go abroad? And if we go abroad, can we produce it like have one demand, like an Apple iPhone, or do we need to adjust? Would we just organize it as a local, more like export, or can we localize it? And what will be then the framework for organizing it? So, in most cases, especially if I talk about that small companies who may just started locally, think about to get the next step forward. They have a home base, how to start up. This is almost what it's about, how to start up. So, if you are starting up, you need to have really thought about, for example, have you enough investment funds? We will see later on some examples in the case on Turkish or others who are try to get more abroad. You need to have investments for enough funding capital for doing it. Competitive reaction, because sometimes you, especially when you have been a supplier beforehand and starting to build up, you may create a reaction. One good example is, you know, for the iPhone, the supplier of the chips was Samsung at the beginning. Samsung then decided, okay, if we cannot only deliver chips, we can also produce smartphones. One of the reactions was that Apple was switching to another supplier. But Samsung was very much strong to get it done. But this type of reaction you need to be aware of if you are going abroad and if you are starting to manage. You need to have a leadership which is prepared for international. Cost, international HRM. Sometimes currency is also a big issue because of currency fluctuations, and you need to be prepared. And a small company, you are not really prepared for financial reactions. By the way, this is one of the big advantages of the European Union and the Euro system, because in the European Union with the Euro system, there is no currency fluctuations. So the risk from a financial perspective, if you're doing business in Europe, is very limited, because if you are calculating, at least you have just the operational risk to take into account, no currency fluctuation, additional risk on this one. So let me a little bit summarize examples. Like here, global product company, good here in this slide, say talking about Disney and Gucci, I am more talking about Apple. In my view, Apple is a much better idea. Also, Gucci is also working because in the past it was just this luxury products which are good examples for it. But most of them are really more or less done via direct export. While Apple is a really global strategy, they are not doing exporting, they're operating it across all of it. Therefore, in my view, global product companies, the best example is really Apple with the iPhone. Because they are ahead of doing just exporting, they have really this global brand plus global operation. While the luxury brands are running it with a global product, that's right, but the global operation is more or less organized in direct exporting. Multinational companies, which may have global but also have national responsive products, are car manufacturers like Toyota or Volkswagen. I explained you a little bit about the VW, about the Audi, smaller version, longer version. This is exactly this type of responsiveness. Toyota, same stuff. If you go to Japan, you will see Toyota cars, which looks a little bit different to yours. It's much more smaller and more curving, yeah, more packed. If you see the houses in Japan, you will understand why, because they have very small, yeah, minimalist, so needs to be smaller. So this is a big one, like Toyota, Volkswagen are running in this direction. It will be interesting to see whether the Chinese brands are able to run it the same way. In my view, the only company who might, from the Chinese perspective, be able, the only Chinese company who might be going in this direction, we will see how successful it will be, is Chile. Because they have now, for example, Proton stake here in Malaysia. They are very successful with Volvo in Europe. We will see how it works. While some of the others who try to just export Chinese cars, at least has not been successful in the past, because they are not really able to adopt to local. And the car manufacturing industry, or car industry, is in my view still a little bit depending on this. If you're just talking about international subsidiaries, would be, yeah, just any type of exporting, for example. So what you see here is, on one side, benefits from economic of scale. Apple was really an example, biggest economic of scale. One product all over. Toyota, the cars, you cannot do it 100%, but you try to add most as possible. So you need to do a lot of some adoptions, but try to limit it. Like the L version of the Audi I explained before versus the normal version. 90% is the same, so you get at least some economic of scale because you are able to order the same supply for 90%, or at least you get it. If you are doing it more like you are doing versions for each country your own, this would be the multi-domestic company. You would have versions for each of the countries, but you are losing economic of scale because you are making different products. And as more different you are doing, as more economic of scale you are losing. But what you are gaining is much more local responsiveness, so you will be adopted, you will be accepted, you will be seen as a local business. And what is international strategy is about? The pressure for getting global versus the need for national responsiveness. And all what we are talking now is more or less be finding the right solutions, the right answers in the different company environments. So let me a little bit summarize. Multi-country strategies, you would target countries, regions in the world, would be more or less that you will try to address it in the same way, maybe go secondary from country by country, a little bit of difference. Oops, let me go back. Yeah. Low cost, international low cost strategy. This is where you try to find the lowest cost, the production areas where you can do it best. Yeah. Okay. Which one again? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me just try to figure out. Yeah. No. Okay. So cosmetic companies, so a little bit in the in between areas. Let's call it like this. From an economic scale perspective, you would try to make one product for all of the world, more or less. In the messaging stuff, you might differentiate. On one side, on the other side, you would run to make your brand and totally. So from the cosmetic perspective, from a pure economic of scale, you would try to have one product which you can sell all over. If it's running and is working from a marketing perspective, from a brand perspective, a little bit depending on where you are. What we see, at least recently, is that you try to find very specialized niche products, for example, cosmetics for more darker skin, or different type of niches where you can approach people who are not really just following the standards or are looking for special in this area. But cosmetic industry would be one where you would be able to run it very similar to Apple as soon as you are really able to can run it with one message. The flip side on this is that you may not get all of the people. And therefore, there was more and more who are also addressing very specific target groups. Target groups with maybe have different type of skin type, for example, in others. Which is then try to find. The question is the market there big enough to run it, or you would not run it? The second question was on transnational. It's just you would be combining more, combined together. So let's call it like this, a little bit addressing several countries, like whatever, take it Southeast Asia in terms of Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia together and form a market there to get at least some additional regional effects on this. So at least coming back to my example of the McDonald's and ketchup. The same experience I made here with the two red sauces is the same in Indonesia. So you can do it more or less the same in each of the area because they have the same taste, they have the same environment. You can form it, so it not need to be a pure national response. You can also expand it to a little bit bigger ones. Okay, but the cosmetic industry is a very good example. The cosmetic industry, coming back to this, you had prior to this more or less just this absolute luxury brands, global brands, and on the other side you have these local ones. And nowadays you have more or less in between. You are starting to get really global cosmetics who are not on the pure total luxury one and getting a little bit adopted or followed and addressed it to the total people. What we see, I'm not sure if I'm covering this, is it's also a little bit of trend that maybe you are not addressing anymore national, but you are addressing special target groups who may have the same interests or the same areas. It's called global and local. So for example, young people living in metropolitan areas may have the same needs and the same demands. So maybe what would be an example for this type of same demands, not for everybody, not like the iPhone, but something which is very special? Which type of streaming? Netflix? Yeah. Exactly. What is the requirement to use Spotify, Netflix and others? Yeah, but what is another requirement to get it done? To get it really be able to use it? You need to have a very good internet connection. And this is something you normally have in metropolitan areas. When you are in a rural area side, difficult. And by the way, it's the same difficulty in Europe. In the US, it's worse. In the US, if you are on the rural side, hard to get really a good internet connection, so don't forget about streaming. But if you're living in metropolitan areas, and this is require no difference between Asia, Europe, and Africa, you have this possibility, and a lot of the people are looking for Netflix, Spotify, and the same story. So here you are addressing a specific group, and they have the same story. So it would be not really national, it would be metropolitan area living young people who are looking for them. And yeah, but the reason, yes, this is one of the limitations in this area. Most of this is not driven by the demand of the people. This is driven by national regulations, but the demand would be there, and let's call it like this: young people might know how to make it workable, even when you have some restrictions. Yeah, exactly. So, but the main idea, streaming target, is not so much important national and not really working for total global. It's like this, address it to a specific demand. Good. Let me see how it goes. So I think in terms of interest, we can go straight to this one. So when you are coming up to implement a global strategy, you had on one side the terms of competition. So can you are able to get it done? You have the government or the environment. and how to get it to your customers, the channel, how to approach your customers. So one example on this, how to approach the customers. I think all of you have a smartphone. Where do you buy the smartphone? There are two channels for it. Do you buy it from a retailer, or will you get it from your telecommunication company and get it by subscription? Which one? Sorry? Retail? All of you? Okay. In some countries, it's more popular to make it via subscription, and therefore you as a producer, you need to make some contacts with these telecommunication companies so that you get listed there. Therefore, you need to always to see in which area, who is your possible distribution channel. Do you need to deal with retail chains? In most cases, you will need to have both, but you need to be aware of how to get to the customer in different areas. Yeah. We can also a little bit make it, it's called CCB paradigm. So you have a company like Netflix, who has a competitive advantage, and because of streaming technology, and may be able to really run it on a global base. Country, which might have some advantages in terms of getting something organized. Not sure that Malaysia has much of this streaming media organized, but would be some. So some countries have a little bit of advantages in terms of that they are very specialized in an area. Malaysia would more looking for manufacturing as well. And the bargaining power is if you really be able to run your company on a global base, you have much more to offer than others. So for example, what is the advantage of Netflix when they are looking for some content? Or do you also have a local streaming service? Yeah, iFlix, okay. It's just operating here? Okay. And is it really successful? No? Okay. Yeah. It's the same in Europe. I think most of the local streaming is already gone or almost gone because of the fact that they had not really bargaining power. So they cannot really get licenses from Hollywood studios or other bigs because they have a very small audience. They cannot really get it. So not so much licenses they will be able to pay or get it done. Therefore, as bigger you are, as more bargaining power you have, only question you may have is whether you are really able to operate it. For example, some restrictions may apply when you are try to sell something in several countries which are not allowed. They are very different. The media industry is very tough in regulations from a national perspective. This is one of the limitations here. So, I think I can skip this one because it's more theory. I will let it to you. Let me again talk about so multi-domestic strategy would be that you would be focusing on country. We are here talking more about. Let's go back. You see, I have still a little bit of issues with how to operate with this stuff. access. Global would be competing like across the world, and requirement is the market and consumers are really operating very similar, and you are able to standardize your products. So about this we talked as well, drivers for globalization. By the way, what is your opinion? Do we have these drivers of globalization like global village, so the same interest of all of the people all over the world? Yeah. Or a globalization of customers, like call it like this. Do we will have this in the future? Yeah. Okay. Will we be able to? I also think that this will be happening because of the information. The internet is all over, and as long as you are not living in Russia or mainland China, you will have access, and access means information. This economic of scale. Yeah. I always thought, but to be honest, I am not 100% sure. It might be from an international management perspective, might be a little bit more tougher in the future because of the political situations which are not currently boosting forces. But the experience we had in Europe as a result of the Ukraine-Russian war is that you need to be aware of challenges in your supply chain, which might be disrupted with political situations. So you need to be at least more resilient, more prepared for that something might happen in this area. And therefore, I think it will be a little bit much more challenging in practice, for going forward on this like it was in the past. So the demand, I am pretty sure, will be there. How to implement might be much more tough in the upcoming years than it was in the past 10, 15 years. Thank you. Oops. So let me again here, strategic choices. Global would be really like single entity, transnational, where you could make up some forms, have it more or less worked for it. International would be something in between, less integrated as transnational, but also some operations which are completely, and multi-domestic would be really to have it split up just spot. Multi-domestic, you will not be really able to take a lot of advantages. Global operations would be the one with the most advantage for economic of scale. You see it in the result of Apple. Apple could realize high price. Interesting, really. If you buy an iPhone, the price of the iPhone I have seen in Kuala Lumpur is the same in New York, and it's the same in London or Stuttgart. And the cost, unit cost, also as low as possible, so there's like a lot of this cash. Now, a company like Apple is not started like this. So how companies are evolving to get there? Or if we take the example of Chile, how getting to this? If you are thinking about organizational development of companies, how is this operates? How is this working? You have more or less two ways to run it. The traditional one was 30, 40 years ago, when I worked, for example, was entering IBM back in 1990s. It was the last area where it was called IBM Germany, where it was more or less almost an independent company, not really independent, but was seen as very much local headquarter and so on. This was the area at the end of the step where you are more or less expanding geographically. You open subsidiaries all over the world and try to be in the market. Other way to operate is, which is the one, for example, Apple did always. They was not looking for geography-wide, but product lines. They were starting with the Macs. Was almost falling bankrupt for this. Then they started with the small appliances you may call before the iPhone. They had this iPod, which was more or less a music player. Yeah, MP4 player, exactly. So they was really starting not on a geographic, but on the product side. And adding MacBooks, so laptops more or less, this MP4 players, then iWatch, exactly, iPhone, iPad, iWatch. What is the biggest challenge of Apple? Yeah, be ahead of the next big problem, big model, or next really, because iPhone, now we are iPhone 16? 16, yeah, okay, iPhone 17 will come, but what is a real new feature, new product? When you are as old as I am, you may recall Apple is not really the first one. If you talk about handhelds, a European company called Nokia, only the my age will know about it, the younger generation never heard about it. You had it? Okay, yeah. Yeah. BlackBerry would be another example. They simply missed the next step. They had good product. Sorry? Yeah. 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 This is the stuff. So if you are going through product diversity stuff, good if you have something. And the advantage if you go this direction is you may be more aware of what might be the next step. It's not really helping, but this is two possible solutions. At the end you see a beginning, it's called global metrics. When you are really a global company, you will need to establish something like this, that we always get input from the direct customers, that you are not missing what might be the next step. So in the case of Apple, watches, glasses, we will see what is going on. They was experimenting with car. I think they skipped the car side. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I think we skip also this one. So, if you talk about international or global strategies, it's expanding this idea of this competitive advantage. So what is the product you have? What is the advantage you can offer? And if you run it from an international global perspective, you would expand it. So if you have a product which is demanded, not just in your local market, on an international or global market. And from a production side also take advantage of the economic of scale and maybe can achieve it. Sometimes you can just do it with international trade, exporting, but if you will take really advantage from this, competitive advantage, you need to do a more global strategy. I would suggested maybe we are splitting up in 2 groups, but the question is how we can distribute this. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe see we do the Huawei case. Yeah. And maybe if you would like this second group with this Turkish stuff. Nee, Asilik. Yep.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. So our topic is on Huawei case study. So we look into the competitive advantage of Huawei. So we come up from this Huawei. We have 4 competitive advantage. The first one is cost leadership. We all know that Huawei company is widely known globally. So with the competitive advantage, the first one is cost leadership, which means that they produce in a large quantity lah, which they take advantage of the economies of scale. So from the economies of scale, they actually produce the product at a lower price and then at lower cost. So the strategy that the Huawei focuses on is actually on the broad low cost strategy, in which they operate over 170 countries and regions. But however, Huawei is restricted in the US country because of some restrictions from the US countries lah. And then the second one, because of the customer preference. This is the second competitive advantage of Huawei, because actually they have a large market share in China because of their technology, and then because the China market is actually focuses on Huawei products only, and then they restrict other products from other country. So for Huawei, actually they have their own apps or operating system. Instead of using Google search engine, they have Harmony OS, and then instead of Google apps, they have Huawei apps gallery. And then actually Huawei, the fourth one, their competitive advantage is that they are the first mover of technology. Actually, Huawei is the first mover. Actually, they are the pioneer of the 5G technology. So, in which the other countries followed, or other companies followed their technology in 5Gs lah. Okay.
Okay. In terms of global strategy that Huawei applied. So definitely Huawei has a practice of global strategy, which is the product has produced in standardized features lah. So what in terms of the another things that Huawei can practice to expand the market. First, Huawei can focus on sustainability features such eco-friendly material and using the energy efficient in supply chain. Okay, second, Huawei can develop strategic partnership, okay, to gain the resources. Okay, we know that in order to expand the resources, we can create the partnership with the other countries. Okay, and the third one is Huawei can investing technology investment. So we know that Huawei is a fast mover in terms of their features in technology. So the company get pressure in technology. So Huawei must to invest more, okay, such as make a remote logistic to maintain the production in the countries that they are supplied.
Okay, next we'll discuss the challenges and threats of Huawei. So here are some of the Huawei challenges. First one is the US trade restriction, where Huawei has no chance for US is disable of China to penetrate the market, and then the supply chain disruption in Russia due to the Russia and China war. Next is the technology pressure, which is as we know in the slide earlier, that Huawei is the fast mover of 5G technologies. So they will get pressure from others how they should maintain their fast mover, and then the limited global partnership with other country as well. That's all from us.
iPhone. Okay.
But what was really what was the competitive advantage of them, and what was the really big
Cost.
competitive advantage of them?
Cost leadership.
Cost leadership.
Yeah.
They could propose it very cheap.
Yeah.
But what was really the
Uniqueness.
base for this?
The base.
Cost leadership was a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
When they lost this, or when the war was starting, why could not they maintain the cost leadership, and why could not they maintain this?
How they maintain.
There are two entities.
Okay.
One entity was the chips or hardware part.
Okay.
This one they could overcome because they developed their own
Products.
Yeah.
This they could go. But the other part was the system.
Okay.
This is what they have not really been successful. Because Android, they can do
Okay.
but think about when you are using Android
Mm-mm.
with
should be better. Tak.
Problems when you are relying on open data
Mhm.
because they were relying to have suppliers, in this case, chips, they could sell software side, operating systems, computer services, the features, exactly. And not sure how many OEM manufacturers have ever heard about this.
No. Itu bukan.
Not using.
Samsung ke?
Somebody with Android, Samsung, for example.
No, no. I'm not.
Harmony is more or less Android, and it's a mobile version of Android with their own search engine, with their own Play Store. But to be honest, outside mainland China, it's working, but it's not really fine because it's depending on being a lot of consumers. If you have only few consumers, it's not providing value. And therefore, the competitive advantage of Huawei, big scale, low cost, is still there, but not usable. Yeah. Thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ya, kan doktor tanya. Dr. Alisa bagi lulus. First class dah kena.
Tak muat lah. Besar now. Ni besar. Tak ada. Boleh ke? Takut Prof punya? Boleh, tapi dia tak muat. Takut tu Prof punya slide kan? Tu. Aku dah menggeletar dah tangan tadi ah. Oh dengar Mana Kak Ita?
Presentation satu. Aduh.
Okay. Entah. Asli. Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Professor and my beloved lecturer. Cewa. Intro tadi penting. Okay, today we would like to share and sharing the information about the Azlik company, which is, let me share the background of company with the Azlik, because the Azlik is a leading global manufacturer of household appliance headquartered in Turkey. So it founded in 1955, and it is subsidiary of Koç Holding, the one of Turkish largest industrial conglomerates. So actually operates in diverse segments, including home appliance, consumer, electronic and kitchen products. So the key highlights for this what we said case study, we will share about the first question is, which is what strategic environmental factors have influenced Arzlik's strategic decision and what outcome. So we will share this our case study. So I will proceed to my colleague to share this one. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Okay, to answer this question about how a clique can maintain in terms of the global market, first we can see, first we can explore more about the environmental factor, which is we can go through the pestle analysis. Okay, from that we can see that this company actually first the environment factor that in fact this company is economic, because during 2000, okay, the economic was trash this company, okay, from the economic issues, so make this company to slow down their business. Okay, so second environmental factors is about the social trade. We can see that from this case study, based on how this company turn their business into to redefine their innovate their product to suit for the local market. Okay, and the third factor that we can see from this case study is the politics and governance, which is this Turkish company get a strong support from the governance that provide the good initiative and also the facilities that allow this company to expand more to the global market. Okay. Besides of that, okay, we can see also this company when they have a problem, which is the economic and also the market will show the downturn, so they have changed their strategy of their business, which is two-pronged. Okay, they are produce the strategy which is two-pronged, which is this strategy focus on the export domestic and directly, and also they are use the local brand name, which is they collaborate with the others local brand name to produce as their product. Okay. Second is partnership with the local companies, which is we can see from this case study also how this Aklik, okay, partner with the Vesta, okay, company. This is Turkey companies, okay, and also the additional this is partnership with the local company first, okay, which is their vessel, for example, which is their try to meet their local punya appearance ataupun local punya needs, okay, to produce their product. And the third is the acquisition, which is Akli also expand to the global with the acquisition through the companies. For example, Flavel, okay, Flavel is from UK, and also the Granding ataupun Bloomberg from the Jerman. So they acquire that company and produce their product at there. Okay, and the third one is the OEM contract, which is where the Aklik have a contract with the Tesco, for example, to rebrand their program, their product. Okay, to meet for the local and also to penetrate the market at the countries. Okay. So this is the factors and also the outcome, how Aklik can go expand their businesses in the global and also in international market. Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Okay, for the second question, what were Aklik competitive advantage? Okay, so competitive advantage for Aklik is low cost leadership in terms of production, quality driven product, and also allowed the company to develop innovative and patent product to develop widely respected brand name. Okay, under question number 2 also, why was OEM consistent with this? Okay, OEM is the original equipment manufacturer. Okay, why OEM not consistent? Because high advertising costs and sponsorship to branding costs. Number 3, given its profit problem in 2008, what would help advertise Aklik to change strategy and pursue some OEM contract? From our company, we remain, instead of the cost being higher, but the ROI in the long term is more profitable. So it allows innovation and patent product, and also quality of the product will remain same. So we remain with the strategy, existing strategy.
Okay, I will continue for the question number 3 is asking about the considering the current US policy of decoupling the China, the isolation of Russian and from the EU and North America, should RC change its strategy, and how will it be goes? It depends on the based on the trade policy. The company are not advised to change the strategy because they already have a strong strategy and also the branding based on the current current situation. But they need to have some changes in terms of the enhanced R&D to meet the local needs and preference. So this is the purpose to increase more sales by year. By we believe that after a few years they will get the profit. Okay, that's it from our side.
Sini lah.
Come.
Yes, Prof. Yeah, just like I mentioned before, okay, we know that Aklik ni actually they have their own strategy. It's a standardized strategies, which is their form their businesses through the partnership, through the OEM contract. Yeah. Product appliance. Homes appliance. Yes. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I think because they depends on their brands punya oriented, and how they penetrate the international or the global market, which is through their alignments or the partnership with the local company. For example, in Malaysia, they have a contract with the Hitachi to produce the washing machine, use the Aklik Hitachi Malaysia. Yes.
Now, same is in Western Europe. Brand names, Miele or others,
Samsung.
very strong. So you have this one. And Turkish would not be considered as
Competitor.
competitor. So the first step they did was this acquisition. And by the way, this acquisition was not really acquisition. They just bought the brand
Brand name.
brand name going ahead. The issue there was that most of the brands was not really unpopular. So for example, Ruby and Devil went bankrupt. This was the reason why they got the brand name. When they're running it in the UK with Tesco,
Yeah.
it was also that it was cheap washing machine you can buy in the Tesco shop. It was fine to get volumes, but not really to get competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And therefore, the next step was then to run this own brand, right? The own brand called
Beko.
Yeah, exactly. And try to run it to establish it gradually from there to get an established brand in Western Europe or I'm not sure they were running it in Asia or not. They were just running it in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I see.
Might be the next step is to get people running
Okay.
more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Because currently they are really much depending on Turkey and Western Europe.
Yep.
If you see on this slide, 60-70% of the market is Turkey and Western
Turkey, yeah.
Now there was one question in it regarding this future risk on decoupling. China, Russia, US. What do you think is the situation for ASEAN?
Yang ni jawab lah. Cepat.
Your question is still, your answer is still no change in strategy.
Oh, yes.
But why?
Because they already have the strong strategies and branding as well. Because they are using, then they are initiate the other brand.
Yeah, but as for Texas, if they would go, for example, to Asia Pacific, would be running a problem? Yeah, there's not much in China. As long as they're more or less concentrated on Turkey and Western Europe, it would be the most probably fast option. The problem with this decoupling is that you are depending on each other. In this case, because they are now establishing their own brand, you should not be too much related to any competitors. It's not like Huawei who has been depending on Google with Harmony that's not working. And Turkey and Western Europe have a great alternative, so not likely that there will be any interruptions as competitors. But if you would start to have farming
More
and, for example, go to mainland China,
international.
you might think about how you organize in case you have interruptions like Huawei did. Yeah.
Maybe R&D lah,
For
Prof.
the moment,
Maybe through R&D.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for the moment, it'll be fine.
Mm.
And if they are continuing with this, also the question is always what might be the story behind this, be aware that it might be some interruption. And what the risk
Between.
management behind this interruption.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much for being
Thank you, Prof. Right.
Thank you, Prof.
So my last my last slide is very easy. So my last slide is very easy. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for your attendance, for preparing the cases. Hope you get some input from my side. At least I saw that you have analyzed the cases. Thank you very much for this. I know you have in the afternoon a continuation of this course. So thank you very much for giving me. Now my last question is question answers, open discussions, any questions. So if you have anything left, you can address it now. Yes? Yeah? Yeah? You have here two more or less stories behind. AI getting more and more important stuff, and we will also see that access to AI will be a very much competitive advantage, and therefore it's a competitive advantage. Therefore, for example, European, US are very much invest in AI technology. Now for companies, how you can use AI. The more important stuff is when you would like to use AI, you need to have and to use your own data and use your own AI out of it. So, not sure, you are using ChatGPT? Of course? Okay. Have you ever thought about why ChatGPT may result in false results? Ever thought about it? If you get any answer or any reply from ChatGPT, it sounds fine, but examples she is providing might not be true. Why? Why? What is the reason for this? Why is this providing you facts which are not facts? The reason for it is the data which is in ChatGPT, the training data, has been all of the story behind. And if you ask them to please give me 3 examples, they will provide you 3 examples. Because ChatGPT is not a Google search machine, it's not a fact machine, it's a language model. For a language model, it's fine, but not for others. So for business environment, you need more or less to get a framework for machine learning, because when we talk about AI, we talk about machine learning. If you have a lot of data and have data, you can use this machine learning to get more qualified results. So my original industry experience is in management accounting, and if I think about this area, when we came up with forecasts and these calculations, it could be done now much quicker and better, because you have all historical data, you have some environmental data, get it up and get up new forecasts and new prognosis and others. And maybe have a human, you can adjust it, you can make it much more efficient. But this is, and what is the limitations there? Small companies who have no data will be having a little bit of disadvantage, because it's something like this which is behind of it. Or if you think about, for example, if you have like your own manuals for products, using machine learning for it, you can very easily, for example, offer on chat support, who may already use as a first level for questions or open stories, and if you have a bigger one, you go to a second level. So this type of machine learning, AI, would be very much. If you would, as a company, rely on these systems like ChatGPT and others, you need to know that you will be providing with your training data all your information to the company who is running the AI. Just need to be aware of. So AI in terms of machine learning, yes, I think it's very, very much important, will very much change the way we are doing it. But this is more access to data and access to this. So, by the way, a tip, if you're really using ChatGPT to prepare any papers or something like this, be very much aware that there are limitations to it. Because if they are providing, so if you ask them to provide data, it will, ChatGPT is a language model, it's not a fact model. For this you need other systems. Further questions? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's use the last example of Arçelik. Okay. They are more or less just in the home appliance business. Not like Huawei, who has been the smartphones, but as well in network components area. So Arçelik is just running home appliance. Let's concentrate washing machine, something like this. And they are not in the, at least in the, not really expanding it. They was strong in Turkey, local market. But in order to really compete, and they have a good base, they could make cheap washing machines. Next idea was how to expand it to Western Europe. Because in Turkey and Western and the European Union have a tariff union, so there is no tariffs between both trades. You need to adjust a little bit of the technical side, but beside of this, you can very easily penetrate or access from Turkey to Western Europe. So the next step was how to achieve that we can use our Turkish products, get more economic of scale by exporting them. So that was this one. First solution or first ideas behind in this case was to buy these brands like Grundig, Flavel and others in order to penetrate this Western European market. Next step was then to try to use it with a Tesco brand name, or now they are establishing their own one. Now they have these two big blocks, so 70% of the business is Turkey and European Union. Question will be, what is the next? This is was my last question on it. Go to North America, go to mainland China, go to maybe South America or Africa or wherever. And when you are doing this, currently you should have in mind that there is maybe some risk of doing it. So for example, currently I think they are doing also quite well in Russia, because in Russia we have stop of Western companies operating there. Turkish would be still allowed. Question is whether it's a good idea, because it might be any secondary sanctions going on there. But this is exactly what they are not really expanding from washing machines to whatever, cars. The diversification in this case is really going by expand market. Why could Arçelik stay with geographically and not need to worry too much about product? Why? Yeah, why do you think is Arçelik really is completely fine that they are looking for geographically expanding and not expansion, and not need to worry too much about product side? Why? Very simple. I don't think that any AI will be capable in the near future to do the washing. I don't think so. Because at the end, you will need to put any of your clothes in the washing machine and you put it out. So it is no really, understand? Unless the iPhone or the smartphone who might be substituted by whatever, classes or something else, the washing machine, I don't think that the AI, it may be improved in terms of AI-based washing machines who are whatever. But at the end, the product, a washing machine, will, at least in the near future, stay. Because you need for your own to put some clothing in and get it out. Maybe a robot help you a little bit, but it will not change the product. While, at least in the near future, therefore they can stay with this product, it will not be substituted, and can concentrate on the geography. While when you have a product which might be substituted, you need to worry about how to develop. Yeah. Okay. If no questions anymore, thank you very much for joining this today. I wish you all the best for the last semester and all success for the future careers. Thank you very much. And I think normally we do always a group photo.